OJ Sharp with KTLA. Pokemon Sword and Shield has reportedly sold over 6 million units according to the Pokemon Company. I recently caught up with some National Dexers, which are a group of online fans who were petitioning against buying Pokemon Sword and Shield. I recently caught up with them to ask them how they feel about Pokemon Sword and Shield selling 6 million plus units in its first opening weekend, and here's what they had to say. One of the biggest controversies with this game was that the game had N64 trees. Now, for those who don't know, the N64 was a revolutionary gaming system that Nintendo released back in 1996. It featured 3D graphics, it featured analog control, and it had one of the most revolutionary games ever with Super Mario 64. In Ocarina of Time, the Legend of Zelda game, there were trees in that game, and those trees had N64 qualities, and many people have likened it to Pokemon Sword and Shield trees. So I recently went out to go speak with this N64 tree, and I had the Great Deku tree from the N64 aid me in the translation of what he had to say. Pokemon Sword and Shield is taking the world by storm. Whether you are against it or for it, you can't deny the power of Pokemon and what it does to people out there. OJ Sharp reporting in from KTLA. Alright, what's up guys? Hopefully you enjoyed the little skit at the beginning there. Let's go ahead and talk about Pokemon Sword and Shield and get my actual thoughts on what's going on with this game. 6 million units in its opening weekend. Some people kind of pointing out, oh, well, that's lower than the last mainline game that came out with Pokemon Sun and Moon. People are going back to Pokemon games in order to try to dispute it or trying to cause drama or whatever the case is, which we do see. So we'll talk about all of that in this video as well and my thoughts on that, because there's some clickbaitiness type of stuff going on here. But yes, Pokemon Company, 6 million units. Nintendo of America, 2 million units in the first 2 days. So it's still continuing to rack on sales. Remember, it came out the last weekend. So very crazy to see, right? Very crazy to see how well Pokemon Sword and Shield is doing. But it's not unexpected. I knew this game was going to do very well, but a lot of other people, because of the noise on the internet, felt that Pokemon Sword and Shield would do considerably less than what we've seen before in the past, especially compared to other Pokemon games. And for some people, even Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, despite the Nintendo Switch having a much bigger install base that we saw last year. So let's go ahead and break down these things kind of like one by one. Now, if you look at Pokemon Sword and Shield sales, 6 million, the fastest selling Nintendo Switch title ever. It's the fastest selling Nintendo Switch title ever. The previous game before that was Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which is literally seen as the pinnacle of the franchise. The most characters, the most stages, the most music, the most options, the most features, the most everything. So pretty much the pinnacle of the franchise. And this game, Pokemon Sword and Shield, which is not seen as that because it doesn't have the most Pokemon, the most content, the most everything, beat that out. Now you have to remember, now when you're comparing it to Super Smash Bros., remember Super Smash Bros. Did have a much smaller install base to work on. So hitting 5 million, about 1 million below what Pokemon Sword and Shield did, that's actually very impressive for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And it goes to show you how great that game is. The fact that it was able to be only 1 million behind it despite a whole year's worth of Nintendo Switch sales. And you also have to remember, this whole year, Nintendo has been winning NPDs hands down. The NPD sales here in the US, they've been winning the sales in Japan. They're year on year up every single month. So they've tacked on way more unit sales in order to get the sales that they've gotten for Pokemon Sword and Shield. But also people are buying the Switch more in anticipation for Pokemon Sword and Shield. So it does make sense there. Now let's talk about the sales comparative to other Pokemon games. If you look, or other recent Pokemon games, if you look at Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, that game sold half of what Pokemon Sword and Shield did, which is what I expected. I think it sold around 3 million in that first opening weekend, which is not bad, or the first opening not bad at all. Pokemon Sword and Shield doubled up on that. Now, Pokemon Sun and Moon is a little bit different because the launches weren't, I guess, completely aligned correctly back when that came out. I think 2016 for that game, 2016, 2017, one of those two. Either way, it came out then, and that sold 7.2 million. But the big thing here that some people are trying to point out, saying that the sales aren't quite as good or whatever the case is that the Nintendo 3DS had 10 million plus more systems than the Switch had at the time. Seriously, it had a lot more systems. The 3DS was already kind of dipping in sales. Pokemon did help it out quite a bit back then, but the install base was just much more. And on top of that, we still need to get into the holiday season. The Nintendo Switch has a big life in front of it. You're going to see a lot more bigger titles kind of come out, or big titles come out, in order to help the sales of Pokemon Sword and Shield, and also to just push the system forward in general. So to try to compare it to Nintendo 3DS or something like that, despite the large gap in time available on the market and it's to just install base in general, is kind of silly. And if you look at it, it's actually not too bad. 7.2 to 6 million, not bad. Only 1 million, a little bit over 1 million underneath it. Same thing, kind of like how I said with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, not being too far behind when it comes down to it with the smaller install base. So same thing kind of goes on here, but I'm actually more impressed with Pokemon Sword and Shield. And the reason why I'm more impressed with it is because of all of the controversy. It's because of everything that was said online. We did not get that with Pokemon Sun and Moon. You have the national decks, you have all this different stuff. Heck, you have the best graphics the series has seen on pretty much any platform with the Nintendo 3DS and Pokemon Sun and Moon. They did make a big improvement. So to see how that game did, and then comparatively to Pokemon Sword and Shield, which just had so much negative controversy and people claiming and pounding their online fist saying that they're not going to buy the games and they're not going to do this and they're not going to do that, was just interesting. It's interesting because, like, I think a lot of people that were complaining or that were crying and that were sitting there and saying that they're not going to buy the game, I think a lot of people maybe went out there and bought the game. I think they saw the reviews. I think they started seeing, like, the gameplay. They started seeing what you can do. They started seeing the streamlined elements, and they said, okay, let me try it out. Okay, maybe I don't like it as much because it doesn't have X, Y, or Z Pokemon, but at the same time, it's still a good game. And I've talked about my impressions. If you follow me on Twitter, make sure you do so, at Player Essence. If you follow me there, you can see what I think about the game as well. And I've talked about it in terms of on this channel too. I talked about it on one of my previous videos about Pokemon. So I'm thinking that this game is pretty good. I've been playing the game, and if you look at it compared to all the previous Pokemon games, which is what some people aren't doing when they are, you know, kind of saying certain things, they're just comparing it to like Legend of Zelda or something like that on the Switch. They're not comparing it to previous ones. This is easily the best one when it comes to just streamlined elements, graphics, everything like that, sound. Everything, this game just expands on everything that the Pokemon franchise has done before. Definitely there's some areas that they can get better, and I've talked about that numerous times already. There's definitely areas that they can get better, but overall, I'm actually really liking this Pokemon game, and it's the most fun that I've had playing Pokemon probably since like Diamond and Pearl. Really, it's been that long, or maybe even like Black and White or Black and White 2. It's been a while since I've had this much fun playing Pokemon. X and Y was fun too, so maybe since that game, but I didn't have as much fun with the games afterwards. Sun and Moon, I just stopped playing after about maybe 15 hours or so. I was like, all right, I'm done with this one. It just didn't capture me the way that I wanted to be captured with a Pokemon game. So very interesting to see how these games are doing, and interesting to see how it will continue, because remember guys, we're not even in the heart of the holiday season yet. We still have Black Friday coming up. That is big for games. We still have the Christmas shopping season coming up, which is absolutely massive for games. That's when companies see their biggest sales, is at the very end of the year with Black Friday and also with Christmas shopping and holiday. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee did very well over that time span and surprised many people with its 10 million units plus that Nintendo announced, and then also over 11 million units at this point. So people were surprised with that. So I think that Pokemon Sword and Shield has the opportunity to obviously blow that out of the water and get very close to being the best-selling Nintendo Switch title out there, right up there with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Super Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and games like that. So I think it's going to be fun to see. But overall, I'm enjoying the game, and I think that Game Freak has built a good base and can continue to add on layers on top of what they've built already with Pokemon Sword and Shield, improving the frame rate like in the wild area, area, improving the online, improving the graphics, all that type of stuff. Maybe getting some GameCube trees instead of N64 trees, so going up a notch or two. But what are you guys' thoughts on Pokemon Sword and Shield 6 million plus sales opening weekend? Did you guys pick up a copy? I know I purchased 4 copies. I purchased a double pack, right, which comes with both of them. I also purchased a copy for a giveaway, and then I also purchased my own copy of Pokemon Shield Digital so I can play it on launch night with you guys and stream it. So a lot of different stuff here. So what are you guys' thoughts overall on Pokemon Sword and Shield? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go and check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Hit that like button if you did like this video, and subscribe to OJX for all the latest in comedy and funny gaming news and all sorts of cool stuff. We'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.